Have you ever had someone punish you with silence and make you feel like the villain? Hey friend, my name is Jo, and I'm so glad you're here. What is the silent treatment? Can we talk about something that's been on my heart? I remember a night when I sat curled up on the edge of my bed, staring at my phone. I kept checking it over and over, even though deep down I knew there'd be nothing. No text, no explanation, just silence. And I remember thinking, what did I do wrong? Have you ever had someone completely shut down on you? No words, no glances, just ice-cold silence? It's that awkward, awful feeling where you wonder, what did I do? Why are they ignoring me? I've been there. It's painful. And the worst part? You start to question your own worth. You start shrinking yourself to fit inside someone else's silence. That, my friend, is what we call the silent treatment. And in just a bit, I'll share the quiet habit I replaced it with. Something that helped me feel calm and confident even when someone else was shutting me out. And it's not just rude, it can actually be a form of manipulation. When someone gives you the silent treatment, it's like they're holding all the power. They don't have to yell or argue, they just disappear emotionally. And somehow, you're the one left cleaning up the mess. Why the silent treatment hurts so much. This next part might sound familiar. You're not the only one who's felt this. There's a reason the silent treatment stings so much. And it's not just about being ignored. It's about being erased. When someone we care about withdraws their voice, their presence, their acknowledgement, it's like we stop existing in their world. That hits somewhere deep inside, especially when we're not even sure what we did wrong. You start second-guessing everything. Was it something I said? Did I mess up without realizing it? And because you want to fix it so badly, you end up blaming yourself. That kind of emotional whiplash creates anxiety, and it lingers. It's not just the silence, it's the way it leaves you alone in the relationship, trying to carry both sides of the emotional weight. And the worst part? You can't fix something when the other person won't even admit it's broken. It also opens up old wounds, abandonment, insecurity, fear of rejection. For many of us, being ignored doesn't just feel frustrating, it feels familiar, like childhood patterns repeating themselves. And even when it ends, there's no resolution. You often get pulled back in without any explanation or accountability, like nothing ever happened, which just teaches you that your feelings don't matter. But, friend, they do. Your feelings matter, your voice matters, and no one deserves to be silenced in order to stay loved. So let's unpack this together. Why does it hurt so much? Have you ever felt your stomach twist just from a notification not coming? How can we tell when it's just someone needing space or something more toxic? Does this sound familiar to you? Has someone ever gone silent and left you wondering what you did or who you are? When it becomes manipulation, here's where it gets tricky and important. Manipulation doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it looks like silence. At first, the person may just seem like they need space. But over time, you start to notice a pattern. Whenever there's tension or disagreement, they disappear. No talking, no texting, no acknowledgement. And you're left holding the emotional weight for both of you. When that silence is used to control your behavior, to make you chase them, apologize for things you didn't do, or feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, that's when it crosses the line. That's when it stops being emotional distance and starts becoming emotional manipulation. It makes you doubt your intuition. You wonder if you're overreacting. You try harder, you get quieter, and slowly, you become more invested in keeping the peace than being honest about how you feel. I've been there. I once apologized for something I didn't even understand, just to break the silence. But when someone makes you feel like your value depends on how quiet, small, or agreeable you are, that's not healthy. That's power being held over you. Manipulation thrives in silence because it's harder to name. But when you start noticing how often you're the one reaching out, fixing, softening your words just to avoid being shut out, you're not imagining it. That's a sign. Real love doesn't punish. Real love communicates, even when it's hard. And the moment you see the silent treatment for what it really is, you start to take your power back. And most importantly, what can we do about it? Stick with me, because in just a moment, I'm going to share the boundary that changed everything for me. The one that finally brought me peace. Let's unpack this step by step. What you can do about it. By the end of this video, you're going to feel seen. Here's what you need to know next. We're going to talk about real ways to protect your heart, rebuild your confidence, and stand strong in who you are, even when someone else tries to shut you out. Let's start with this. You don't have to wait for someone to change in order to heal. You can begin protecting your peace today. The silent treatment isn't something you can control, but your response to it is powerful. First, acknowledge what's happening. Sometimes we try to minimize it, excuse it, or tell ourselves it's no big deal. But naming it is the first step towards setting yourself free. Say it out loud or write it in a journal. This is manipulation. This is emotional avoidance. Next, practice self-soothing techniques. When someone withdraws, it can trigger old wounds, especially if you've experienced emotional neglect in the past. Breathing exercises, grounding techniques, or simply calling a trusted friend can help bring you back to yourself. Then, clarify what you're available for. A boundary doesn't always mean confrontation. It can be quiet, calm, and kind. You might say, "I'd love to talk when you're ready, but I won't chase or guess anymore." That alone can change the dynamic. And most importantly, remind yourself daily that their silence is not a reflection of your value. Your worth isn't up for debate. It's steady, consistent, and whole, whether someone chooses to recognize it or not. These aren't overnight fixes, but they're powerful shifts. The more you practice them, the more peace you'll create inside yourself, regardless of what's happening around you. Let's walk through the next few steps together. It creates self-doubt and anxiety. Let's start with one of the most painful effects. That's the real danger. It isn't just about the silence. It becomes a loop. You reach out, they stay quiet, and you try harder. That effort doesn't come from love. It comes from fear. Fear of being abandoned, fear of not being enough. The silent treatment is so cruel because it doesn't just shut down a conversation, it shuts down your confidence. It changes how you show up in all your relationships. You begin to anticipate silence before it even happens. You become overly cautious, overly kind, overly available. And in doing so, you slowly lose your voice. You might find yourself tiptoeing around certain people just to avoid that gut punch of being shut out. And the worst part is that it trains you to believe that love has to be earned, and that love might disappear if you say the wrong thing. But that isn't love. That's control wrapped in silence. It's about what it does to how you see yourself. Call it out, if it's safe to do so. Ready for something that puts the power back in your hands? If you're ever in a situation where you feel emotionally safe enough, name it gently. You can say something like, "I notice you're ignoring me. If something is wrong, I'd rather talk about it than play this game." This shifts the control back to you. You're no longer waiting. You're standing up for yourself in a calm, mature way. And even if the other person doesn't respond, you've taken care of you. I know it can feel scary to say something. Your voice might shake. You might rehearse it 10 times before you get it out. But here's the thing. Using your voice in these moments tells your heart, "I matter." Calling it out doesn't mean you're trying to start a fight. It means you're valuing connection over confusion. It means you're choosing courage over quiet suffering. You might not always get the answer you want, The other person might stay silent. But at least now, you're not abandoning yourself. If someone truly cares about you, they'll appreciate the honesty. They may not respond perfectly, but open-hearted communication invites clarity. And clarity is something you deserve. Remember, this is about your growth, not their reaction. The more you practice this kind of gentle honesty, the more powerful and peaceful you'll feel, no matter how the other person chooses to respond. You're no longer waiting, you're standing up for yourself in a calm, mature way, and even if the other person doesn't respond, you've taken care of you. It damages relationships. This one hurts, but it's something we have to say out loud. This stuff is heavy, but I promise. Clarity is freedom. Healthy relationships thrive on open communication, not silent punishments. The silent treatment creates distance, resentment, and a toxic power imbalance. It teaches you to fear speaking up because you don't want to be ignored again. I used to rehearse every sentence before I said it, terrified that the wrong word would lead to another week of silence. That's not love. That's control. And the longer it goes on, the harder it is to fix what's been broken. Set boundaries? Okay, here's where things can really start to change. If someone repeatedly gives you the silent treatment, recognize the pattern. Silence should never be used as a punishment. It's one thing to need a moment to collect your thoughts. It's another to intentionally withhold love, care, or communication to make someone feel small. That's not maturity. That's manipulation. Boundaries are your way of saying, I care about you, but I care about me too. Try saying, I'm happy to talk when you're ready, but I won't be manipulated by silence. It's respectful, clear, and protects your emotional energy. And yes, you might have to say it more than once. That doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means you're staying consistent with what you value: honesty, clarity, and mutual respect. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors with locks. You decide who gets to come through and under what conditions. You can say, I'm not okay with being iced out every time there's tension. You can say, I need communication, even when it's hard. You can also remove yourself, not in anger, not in silence, but in peace. Sometimes walking away from a conversation is the most honest way to say, I won't participate in this dynamic. Setting boundaries may feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you were raised to prioritize others' feelings over your own. But each time you do it, you show your heart. We don't have to earn love through silence. We deserve it with presence. That lets them know you're open, but not available for games. Focus on your own confidence. This next part is all about you and taking your power back. Remember that someone's silence does not define your worth. It can feel deeply personal, especially when it comes from someone close to you. But their silence is a reflection of their emotional avoidance, not your value. Spend time with people who treat you with kindness, who answer your texts, who make space for your voice. These people remind you of what healthy connection looks like. They help you feel grounded and whole. Building confidence is not about pretending you're unaffected. It's about learning to stay steady in your own truth. Try small rituals that reconnect you to your inner voice: journaling, daily affirmations, walks in nature, or creating something with your hands. Say this to yourself: I am allowed to be heard. And I don't have to earn attention, I exist, and that's enough. Surround yourself with reminders of your worth. Post notes on your mirror. Follow creators who lift you up. Read books that center your healing. Most of all, start noticing the moments when you do feel strong, like when you spoke your truth, walked away from a toxic exchange, or chose peace over pleasing. Every time you choose yourself in the face of silence, you rebuild confidence in who you are. And the more you believe in your own worth, the less you'll accept behavior that makes you doubt it. You are allowed to take up space. You don't have to explain yourself to be worthy. You are enough, exactly as you are. When to walk away. And now, the hardest but maybe the most freeing part. If someone uses the silent treatment repeatedly to control you, it may be time to step back from that relationship. Friendships and relationships should feel safe and supportive. Ask yourself, does this person respect me? Do I feel heard and valued? I remember journaling those exact questions one night and realizing the answers scared me more than the silence itself. If the answer is no, it's okay to walk away. Choosing peace over punishment isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And wait until you hear the small mindset shift that helped me walk away without guilt. And I promise, life opens up when you stop chasing people who communicate with silence. Final thoughts. You're not alone. So the next time someone tries to silence you with their silence, remember this: you are not too much, too sensitive, or too needy. You are enough, and you deserve to be treated like you matter. Speak up, set the boundary, and if they can't meet you there, walk on. You're not walking away, you're walking toward peace. If you've been on the receiving end of the silent treatment, know this: you are not invisible. You don't have to make light of what hurts. You get to take it seriously, to feel it fully, and to choose how you respond from a place of self-respect. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, and drop a comment if you've ever been hit with the silent treatment. You are definitely not alone.